Hi, everybody. This is Hannah Studley from the Mind Body Institute. And you've probably heard me talk about the difference between tools and techniques and this understanding that I'm sharing with everybody, which is called the three principles. And it is an understanding which makes it different. It's not a method, it's not a technique, it's an understanding of how all those other tools and techniques work. And when you understand how something works, you're free. Like remember when you didn't know how to drive? You were probably dependent on your mom or your big sister or the taxi driver to get you around. But once you learn how to drive, you're free. You don't need to keep depending on other people. So this is just a little something I'm going to share with you about tools and techniques. Now, something one of my colleagues, I heard him say a long time ago, is that tools and techniques work really well for the person who invented them and it makes sense to them, and that's great. And by the way, as I always say, if you are doing something that works for you, that makes sense, that's fantastic. Nobody's telling you to stop doing it, but just wonder if you get curious about why it's working and why sometimes it stops working. So here's an example. When I was in the depths of my PTSD, and I would, I was really not, I was really struggling. I wasn't doing well at all. I wasn't sleeping properly. I wasn't eating properly. I would wake up and cry for hours and still not have a reason to get out of bed. So if anybody's struggling with trauma, trust me, been there, and I've been a trauma counselor for decades, helping people out of that kind of thinking. Anyway, I did come up with a bright idea whilst I was struggling with that kind of heavy, heavy, dark thinking. You see, what used to happen for me is that the same old story kept cropping up, which was that I was alone, I had no friends, nobody was here to help me, and none of that was true, right? But it's like, when we get into that dark place, our thinking starts to attack us, or at least that's what it feels like. And the same story kept cropping up. Now, in a slightly better mood, and I was never in a great mood at that time, but in a slightly better mood, I knew I had beautiful friends who would come in the middle of the night to help me if I needed them or asked them. So in that slightly better mood, I got a piece of paper and a pencil and I wrote down the names of my friends because my thought was, next time I get into one of those really low, dark, like drowning in self-pity kind of moods, I could look at this piece of paper and I could see what beautiful, wonderful friends I have. Brilliant idea, okay? So I wrote the list of friends. I sooner or later got into a foul mood and I forgot to look at the list, right? How good is that technique if I can't remember to do it? I thought, so the next time I was like, okay, so next time I've got to remember to look at the list and then I won't go down that rabbit hole. So the next time, it was probably just a few days later, I got, really miserable and really sad. And I thought, look at the list of names because that will help you. So I got out the list of names and I thought, well, she's a witch. I never liked him. She never calls me back. Right? Right? Because when I'm in a low mood, I don't care. Or I don't have the energy to do the meditating and the writing. Trust me, I did a lot of meditation, a lot of writing in that time. And it was always a struggle. And I was always trying to fix myself with it. And because I didn't need fixing, at least that's what I know now, it was always took so much energy to do it. And I don't know if you've ever been in a low mood, we don't have a lot of energy. I don't care. My thinking has gotten very limited and it's very hard to put into practice any of these kind of tools and techniques. I struggled with that for years and then felt bad about myself because I couldn't do it or I didn't want to do it or it seemed to fail and I had to keep going back and doing it again. So what I see now is the power of insight. When I started seeing that all I needed was a shift in my thinking. My thinking didn't need fixing as much because it's going through my mind all the time. I just needed to see it differently. I started to make different meaning out of those thoughts. I stopped taking it seriously. And so my mood went up. And because my mood went up, I had a different perspective. And finally, I got out of that really dark, horrible thinking. So now, if I were to start going back into it and I hear that story like, I've got no friends and nobody loves me and I'm all on my own, to me, it's funny now because it's so ridiculous, right? The things we listen to when we're in a low mood are not are the things that we kind of would find funny in a better mood. So how it feels is always my clue. So I hope that was helpful. Like I said, if you have tools and techniques that help you, that's great. And if you're curious about why they stop working or why you have to keep doing them, reach out. Let me know. I'd love to dive into this with you a bit deeper and we can go and see what's really happening. So that's it. I hope you have a wonderful day and I will speak to you soon. Bye.